Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Before the Four. I'm digital host A.J. Wuest, and happy Friday to everyone who is watching right now. It is the first round of the high school football playoffs, which is so hard to believe. I remember like it was just yesterday. It felt like it was week 0. So we're going to be talking a lot about pigskin playoffs in today's shorter version of Before the Four. But we're also going to go through a few of the day's top stories. We'll go through the stories in case you missed them, and then we will also talk about weather. So with that said, I think it is about time we start things off. And starting things off in Scottsboro, where 2 high school students are recovering after they were struck by a vehicle last night. Now, officials say 2 girls were leaving a bonfire at a pep rally at Trammell Stadium. It was at a crosswalk in the road when they were hit. Administrators rushed in to provide aid until paramedics arrived. Now, officials say both girls were alert and were able to communicate with their parents on the way to the hospital. Both girls are currently receiving treatment at Huntsville Hospital. But now let's take a look at the weather. We have 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis here, and he is going to take you through the latest forecast. Let me pull it up for you all.
AJ,
but how's
really
it
nice
looking,
Friday
Brad?
night. Plans out there. You've got plans, maybe some patchy fog. That's about it. There's no rain in the forecast tonight. And the clouds coming in from the west, and that's where the main storm system is right now, too. And as we take a look at that, what we're going to be dealing with down the road, wind gusts really increasing tomorrow evening, and they're going to be increasing right to around about 30 miles an hour in some spots late tomorrow evening. But right now, very quiet out there. Madison, 75 degrees, and that's really due to the clouds we had earlier in the day. It kind of delayed the warm-up. Notice the wind forecast for tomorrow. I mentioned earlier, wind speeds as high as 30 miles an hour tomorrow night into the early morning hours on Sunday. And this is all ahead of the rain that's coming our way, too. And let's take a look at your weekend forecast. We've increased the chance now to 80% both days. It's just going to be wet and breezy. The rain's not going to be heavy and steady at all times, but I think the entire weekend will be damp. Here's a look at 6 o'clock in the morning. Notice the boundary coming in. I've got winds on here. Calm wind with some fog out there in some areas just very early in the day. And as we get towards 11 o'clock, the rain becomes more widespread. It's very light in nature, but there's going to be some drizzle, poor visibility. The wind gusts start to pick up about 20 miles an hour here at 3 o'clock, getting closer to 30 miles an hour as we get into 8:30 tomorrow evening. And once this steadier rain starts to move in early Sunday morning, it'll just spread across the area. So a very gusty day Sunday, very wet, 1 to 2 inches of rain a possibility. So overall, AJ, a wet weekend ahead after a very nice and dry Friday.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. And now a story in case you missed it. Over the past few days, black people all across the country have been receiving racist text messages, just like the ones you are currently seeing on screen. Now, the text messages tell the recipient that they've been selected to pick cotton at a plantation and that they'd get picked up by executive slaves. 48 News has been able to confirm that at least one student in the Madison County school system has received a similar text message. One Huntsville parent says their child was one of nearly 100 black students at the University of Alabama who received the message. It has not been determined who is behind these racist messages across the country, but the FBI and other agencies say they have been looking into the situation. And yesterday, 48's Daquan Lee spoke with Alabama NAACP President Bernard Simelton, and take a listen.
Just imagine what would have been happening if, the president-elect did not win. And it probably would have been much worse, and would have also probably been some direct threats, to some of the people that's receiving these messages, to the children and to the parents.
Well, thank you. And now another story in case you missed it. Construction is now underway on the Belmina rock quarry, but some residents express concerns regarding the new project. 48's Nick Ballinger with more.
When Dolores Fletcher stepped out of her home on Wednesday and saw this, crews breaking ground on a rock quarry in her town, she says her world stopped.
Our heart dropped, and we could not believe it.
Fletcher has lived in the small town of Belle Mina for 30 years, and like majority of its residents, to her, a rock quarry isn't wanted.
No one wants to live next to a rock quarry. And of course, we're no better than anybody else, but nobody needs to live near a rock quarry.
Reverend Cody Gillum of Belle Mina Methodist Church has been leading the fight to stop this quarry for nearly a year.
It has been a morale killer for our community.
Gillum has made multiple attempts to delay construction, even filing a civil rights complaint against the Alabama Department of Environmental Management just in August. Gillum learned his complaint had been denied the same morning that construction started.
It has a majority-minority community that has always been impoverished, and this stops them from ever having the ability to move out of a community like that with a quarry right there.
One last-ditch effort to try to halt further construction is an injunction fifth-generation Belle Mina resident Sam Frazier filed. Frazier lives right across the street from the proposed quarry.
So we're just trying to enforce the law.
The injunction states the construction company is breaking the law of building a quarry within 2.5 miles from a public school. Auburn has a satellite facility just a mile from town.
It will devalue my property, my farm property, by 80% if it goes in. Plus I live there, that's my home.
Well, thank you, Nick. Now time is ticking for Huntsville Hospital and United Healthcare to come to an agreement. Back in October, the hospital announced it would be cutting ties with the insurance company unless they could come up with an agreement. The current agreement expires in 1 week. United Healthcare patients coming to Huntsville Hospital will be out of network after November 15th. A few weeks ago, we spoke with United Healthcare customer Danielle DuPont, who expressed her concerns on the decision. Take a listen.
I am a patient of Huntsville Hospitals. I've been there multiple times. I pay my bills, I do all these things. And because they can't come to an agreement with UHC, I feel like I'm the one being punished because they're just kind of yanking it out from under me like that.
Well, thank you. Now it is time to talk about some pigskin playoffs. The first round of the high school football state playoffs technically began last night as the Fife Red Devils sailed to victory, defeating Ohatchee 66-30. But Decatur Heritage was not as fortunate. The Eagles lost their game last night against Susan Moore 34-27. And a lot of playoff games going on tonight as our Tennessee Valley schools look to cruise to the next round. You can catch all the scores from all those high school playoff games going on tonight. You can find that on our website. Just go to WAFF.com, then go to sports, and finally sports scores. And you're just not going to want to miss 48 Blitz in our 10 o'clock newscast, and of course 48 Blitz OT at 10:30, wherever you're watching before the 4 right now, for those final scores and the highlights I know you all want to see, that is for sure. But now it is time for the good side. An Atlanta USPS worker is being honored for driving 1 million miles without an accident. That is amazing. Local News Live correspondent Joshua Skinner met that driver to find out his secret. Take a look.
Backing a trailer is an art form. And few know this art better than Lamar Powell.
Oh, it's a good job.
As a professional, Powell is a man of few words.
I'll move trailer from one spot to the next spot.
He's let his work do the talking for 44 years. What's the secret?
That's a good question.
While Powell might not reveal the secrets to longevity, the Postal Service is honoring him for driving 1 million miles as an employee without a single accident.
It's just amazing that you can accomplish that because there's always something that happens.
Todd Murphy is one of the managers of the distribution center.
It's incredibly rare.
He knows the secret.
He's like an owl. His head is on a pivot all the time looking for any hazards.
And what the neck can't access, mirrors can.
Oh, backing up, make sure you watch the traffic.
And there's a lot of that. What there won't be a lot of in the future is Powell,
One more year, that's it.
putting the brakes on 45 years.
That's it, that's long enough.
Less backing up, more looking forward to wherever those next miles lead.
That's a huge loss.
In Palmetto, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.
A million miles. That is truly insane. I can't even imagine driving a million miles. But awesome story there. But that is about all she wrote for today's shorter version of Before the Four. I'm digital host A.J. Wuest, and make sure you all stick around for 48 Blitz OT tonight. Wherever you're watching Before the Four right now, you're just not going to want to miss it. Pigskin playoffs. You gotta love it. It is that time of the year, of course. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 Digital app, the 48 First Alert Weather app, and of course the 48 Sports Zone app. Turn on those push notifications and you will never miss a breaking news story. Now, as always, I want to thank you for watching. You all have a great night.